Hello guys, in this lecture we are going to discuss about an amazing tool which is used for division evaluation or product evaluation in various businesses, right? So this has been in existence since 1970. So this is an age old analysis tool, like it's more than 50 years old. So it has already various applications, like various businesses use it, and also there are advancements in this particular model, but still this is one of the core foundations which is there for business evaluation, right? So before talking about the model that we are about to discuss, let me just ask you a simple question. Okay, so tomorrow, for example, you became an entrepreneur, and after becoming an entrepreneur, you started an own company, obviously, and you are dealing with, let's say, 4 to 5 different products at the same time. Okay, I'm talking about various product lines. Now, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you need to know which products of your business are actually worth it. Like, where should you invest your money, your time, and your expertise, and which products are not just worth it. Like, okay, fine, this is one area which is not worth it, let's just keep it on hold, or let's just divest this particular thing, right? So a strategy or a decision has to be taken with regards to different products of your business. The same can be applied for, let's say, different divisions of your organization. You have 4 or 5 different branches across the globe, or else across the country. Now, which branch requires more cash investment? Which branch needs to just sustain on its own? Which branch needs to be closed or shut down, right? So we call them as strategic business units in the corporate world. So a strategic business unit is nothing but a part of your business, maybe a product line, maybe a department, maybe a division, maybe a branch, or maybe a workplace, or maybe a distribution center, whatever it is, any part of your organization which is managed, or where strategic decisions relating to that particular part of your business is taken at that level directly. For example, if I say a branch, all the decisions relating to the branch are taken by the branch manager. In that case, I can call it as a strategic business unit, because strategical decisions are taken at their level itself, right, within that particular part of your business. Now, coming back to a point of discussion, so how do I evaluate various divisions or various departments or various products within my organization, and how do I categorize them to take a decision? That is where our point of discussion, our topic comes into the picture, which is called as BCG matrix. Now, this has been in existence since the last 50 years. So, Boston Consulting Group, right? So Boston Consulting Group, this is basically a group, or I can say this is a consultancy firm. This was a consultancy firm which was more oriented towards business consultations, like what strategies shall be adopted in a business, or how can you grow your business, or how can you make sure that your business is self-sustaining, right? Any strategical decisions, they are kind of a consultancy, okay? And they have defined this, or they have actually designed this matrix for their internal purposes. When a client comes to me, okay, for example, I am BCG consultancy group, Boston Consultancy Group. If a client comes to me and asks me, so these are my product lines, or these are my divisions, or these are my organizational various levels in the hierarchy. Now you tell me, what shall I do with each of these particular aspects? That is where BCG matrix comes into the picture. So I as a consultant, or my firm as a consultant company or consultant firm, we designed, okay, BCG, they designed a matrix so that they can have a standardized solution for problems, right? So give me your figures, I'll put it in this particular matrix. Accordingly, the matrix will determine which products are what particular category, and it will give you a generic strategy or a generic suggestions. As I'm repeating, it will give you a generic reason or a generic strategy, but is it really adaptable? That again differs based on the scenario to scenario. BCG, as I told you, is a uniform matrix. It's just like a format kind of a thing. Every format doesn't suit to every situation. So you need to determine, once the solution or once the strategy is determined by BCG, we need to understand, we need to evaluate whether that strategy is actually adaptable or not. Okay. So with that being said, let's see what is this BCG matrix all about. Okay. So BCG, what happens in this particular matrix is that it is depending upon two variables, right? So in order to classify anything, right, for example, if you're in a relationship and you want to categorize whether your girlfriend or whether your boyfriend is good or bad, right, you have certain categories, right? You have certain what do you call it, requirements kind of a thing, like good looking, good earning, should not have such kind of XYZ qualities or XYZ habits, or whatever it is. You have certain criteria. Similarly, BCG also has the same set of criteria, not good looking and all. Okay. BCG talks about two criteria. Okay. It evaluates products or divisions or departments or SBUs based on two criteria. What are those two criteria? One is called as market growth. One is called as market growth, and the other one is called as market share. Let me write it on top. Market share. Okay. So first of all, let's understand these two criteria. Then we can easily determine the quadrants and what kind of strategies shall be taken. So first point, what do we mean by market growth? For any business or for any product or for any process to be successful, first there has to be a good growth or good potential in the market. Okay. For example, you come up with this amazing idea, the product is excellent, like the quality is top notch, like almost all near 100%, near perfect level quality is there. Taste, if I'm talking about a food product or a consumable product, the taste is amazing, the quality is good, the nutritional value is good, but the problem is there is no market. Okay, people are not ready to buy it. So no matter how good of a product you launch, if the market is not ready to accept it, you're gone, my dear friend, right? So first we need to have a potential, at least a growth potential in the market. Maybe either an established market is amazing. If you are having an established market, it's absolutely good, or else at least the market should have a growth potential going down the lane. For example, if I talk about mobile phones, for example, just our Android phones or Apple phones or whatever it is, it already has an established market, right? So if you are going into that, like if you want to launch your own product and another mobile phone, maybe your own company, with new features or with new options or something like that, absolutely fine, because there is already an existing market for that, and that market is never saturated. Mobiles, Androids, mobile phones market, smartphones market is never saturated. Everybody has a smartphone, but there is always a requirement to upgrade, right? If that isn't the case, I don't know how Apple will survive. Apple and iOS mobiles purely survive on the concept of upgradation, right? Like they already know their customer base is almost all saturated, like people who can afford Apple are already using Apple. And the problem with that is, uh, they they have a limited market. They are targeting a premium segment of the market, and that is almost all saturated. So what kind of decisions should they take? We'll discuss about Apple's case study with BCG matrix as we move forward in the lecture. Okay. Now going back to our topic of discussion here, so either an existing market wherein it is already available or demand is high, or at least the market should have a growth potential. Like for example, if we talk about natural fluids or natural liquids or natural consumable drinks, right? So we can slowly see the market shift from soda based consumables like cool drinks, aerated cool drinks, not aerated, carbon dioxide. Okay, carbonated, not carbon dioxide, carbonated water. Okay, like soda. So we can see the shift from soda based cool drinks, right, that is aerated cool drinks, to natural based consumables like maybe fruit juices or maybe coconut water or even products like Gatorade, PepsiCo, energy drink. So people are slowly shifting from gas based or soda based soft drinks to this thing. So if I'm talking about a fruit juice market, or if I'm talking about a consumable market like energy drinks, it doesn't have maybe a huge market as such, but it definitely has an amazing growth potential. Down the lane we can see more people consuming these products, right? So the market growth can either be categorized as a high growth market or a low growth market, where the market by itself, okay, the market by itself is either growing market or a non growing market. Now, the second variable is market share. Now, how much does your product occupy in that particular market? And please remember, both of these are relative, okay? Relative market share and relative market growth. Now, what is relative? We will talk about that a moment later. When I talk about how to calculate market growth and how to calculate market share, I'll talk about what is relative and why it is required. But as of now, to get an overall picture, let's stick to this market growth and, pardon me, market growth and market share. Okay. Now, in a market, okay, keeping aside the market as a whole, whether it is growing or not growing, keep it aside. Now, your business, your product, your service, or your item that you are dealing with, is that occupying more and more market share, or is that occupying a less market share? Now, what is market share, sir? Simple. It is the percentage of the total market that you have captured. For example, if I'm taking mobile phones as a whole, like smartphone market, the major market player is Samsung. The second major market player is Apple. Then comes all these conglomerates like MI, Xiaomi, or else Oppo, Vivo, or LG. All these things come in the like in the miscellaneous category. To be very frank with you, as Moto and Sony and other brands. Like majority of the market, more than 50% of the market is captured by these two products, Samsung and Apple. It's slowly shifting, very slowly shifting. We can see that Xiaomi is actually capturing more of the market. Competing with OnePlus these days. Anyways, that's a story for another day. Coming back to our point of discussion, within the market, how much percentage were you able to capture? That is your market share, correct? So we have discussed about what is market growth and what is market share. Now, BCG Matrix, Boston Consultancy Group, it says that let's use these two elements, market growth and market share. Okay, this is also high and this is low. Okay, we will use these two as the criteria, market growth and market share. We will use these two elements as our criteria, and let's see what kind of generic strategy can be adopted in each of these areas. Okay, so we will classify our product or our division or our branch or our SBU, whatever it is, into these four areas, and accordingly we will take a generic decision. Again, repeating again, generic, not specific. Specific decisions might differ. Okay, now the first quadrant, Q1, this is quadrant 1. What is quadrant 1 here? A quadrant which have very high market growth and a high market share. A high market growth and a high market share. Now, what does that imply? Think logically. It implies that the market has a potential to grow. Okay, like smartphones, exactly smartphones here. I can say exactly smartphones for this quadrant because the market has a high potential to grow. And if I'm talking about a company like Samsung, or if I'm talking about a company like Apple, their market share is also very high, right? In a growing market, my product has a high market share. This is the most successful quadrant, to be very honest with you guys, right? So because market is growing and I'm also capturing majority of the market, I don't know what else can go right in my organization. These are called as stars. These are called as stars. Okay, like these are the products or these are the divisions where you should pay complete attention to. You should focus completely on this segment. You should invest your money, you should invest your time, you should invest your strategies, you should take more maybe aggressive growth steps, not too aggressive, maybe aggressive, like you should put in more money into marketing, more money into advertisement. You need to try to capture as much as possible, right? You need to count, or you need to maybe I can say that you need to run in this particular market because you are a star and stars don't take rest. Okay, so you should work like a maniac in this particular segment. If your product is in a star category, that is where you should put all your money in. Okay, right? So basically what we are going to do with stars is invest, right? So put your money in that particular product, right? Both time and money. Now coming to the second quadrant, I'll go to this quadrant. Okay, now what does this quadrant talk about? If you can see the strategy here, a market growth is low. Okay, I'm not saying market is low, market growth is low. That means in another language, this is a market which is already saturated, or this is a market where there is no expected growth in the future, but you have a high market share. Okay, in a market which is not growing, you have captured majority of the market already. So now what am I supposed to do? For example, if we go back to our soft drink category, so soft drink market doesn't have growth as such. It is actually growing in a negative trend. It is reducing its growth, right? It is losing its customers. And for example, you are if I'm talking about Coca-Cola, right? Coke has already captured majority of the market and the market is growing slowly down. So now what should be the strategy of Coke regarding that particular product? I'm not talking about some other product. If Coke is launching a new product, that's a different strategy. That's product differentiation, right? We are not worried about that. Regarding the existing products of Coke like Coca-Cola and other stuff, what are they supposed to do? Okay, that is where this quadrant comes into the picture. A market which is already saturated, but we have already captured majority of the market. So what you would like to do is basically to exploit your brand image in that market, or you would like to use your existing market share to generate as much as cash as possible, right? You would like to milk as much as possible for that particular cow, right? These are called as your cash cows. These are called as cash cows. Now what are cash cows? Basically these are the products, or these are the segments where the market is almost all saturated. There is no future growth in this market, but we have captured very high amount of share, right? We are like the market leaders in that particular industry. So what are we supposed to do here, sir? What is the strategy that we are supposed to adopt? What you will do is, it is a cash cow. What you will do with your cow? You milk it, right? You get benefits out of it. We call it as reap the benefits. Okay, in another language, invest required amount of money, required amount to continue the operations. There is market demand for your product because your share is high, but it is slowly reducing. That doesn't mean you completely abandon the product, right? You have to continue it because you already have a brand image in the market. You don't want to give away on your hard work. You have already captured the market. Why are you giving up now? So don't give up. And at the same time, don't invest your time and money and efforts into that. You have already captured it. So don't invest your time, energy, and money in that. Money, yes, as much as it is required to continue the operations, to run the businesses, like working capital. As much as working capital is required, put into that, no problem. But don't purchase new machineries, don't purchase new product lines, don't purchase new land or something like that. Don't make capital investments into this particular type of product. Rather keep the working capital flowing, capture the market, I mean already captured market, reap the benefits out of that market, just milk the cow as much as possible. Okay, and one day what will happen is it will slowly come into this category. What is this category? Where market share is less and market growth is also less. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let's just first talk about this quadrant. What is this? Q3. Okay, now what is this quadrant? If you see carefully, it is a quadrant where the market growth is very high. Okay, market growth is high, but market share is low. Okay, think logically. Market is growing. Okay, but we are unable to capture the market. We are unable to increase our share in the market. So what happens here? This is a question mark for you. Isn't it a question mark? Where market is growing, why is your product not growing? Why are you not able to capture an increasing market, right? Or else I can also call it as a problem child. Problem child. It has some problem in it. Isn't that why it is unable to capture the market, right? For example, if I take what shall I take here? Yeah, how about Tata Nano? Okay, yeah, it's actually a good idea. So Tata Nano, if I'm talking about, the automobile industry, consumption of cars or purchase of cars is growing in India. I'm talking about Indian company. In Indian scenario, more and more people are starting purchasing cars, and more people are buying this vehicles, four-wheelers and all that stuff. But Tata Nano, in a growing market, it was unable to capture a market share, right? There was growth potential, there was a huge discussion around that 1 lakh rupees car you are getting and all that stuff. But unfortunately, it was unable to capture the market, it was unable to hold its market share. So that is called as a problem child. Now what are we supposed to do with the problem child, sir? What is the strategy that we need to follow? There are two solutions to this. Okay, two solutions. What are the two solutions? First one is invest more money into that. Sir, are you kidding? No, I'm not kidding. The market has a potential to grow. It's not like a market is not there. There is market, and there is a problem that needs to be addressed. Will that problem be addressed if I push more money into research and development? Like if Tata, for an example, what if they, Tata Nano for an example, what if they do more research? Okay, they identify where they are going wrong, why they were unable to capture the market, what went wrong, what could be the new CSF, what are the KPIs to measure the new CSFs, key performance indicators and critical success factors, right? So what can be done right? If they go and do that research, then yes, investing in that project might be a favorable solution or might be a good strategy. What if we are unable to capture the market share because there are already other products which are already categorized as stars? Okay, in such case, what am I supposed to do? Basically, my competitors, they already have huge research and development, they can invest so much money into that, they already captured that market. Even if I try hard, even if I give my 100%, I might not be able to capture any more market in this particular growing market. I cannot get any additional share. Okay, there are already top players, there are already stars in this category. What am I supposed to do? A good entrepreneur is not someone who knows when to put money and when to put hard work, but he is also someone who knows when to stop putting money and hard work into it, right? A good entrepreneur should know when to just put an end to something, like take it to your backyard and kill it. Okay, not in literal sense, hypothetically. Okay, understand the essence here. right? A good entrepreneur should know when to shut up, when to close it, right? So if something is a problem child, there is a potential to grow, but your product is not growing in the market. In such case, either if it is possible and if it can be resolved, go and invest more money, energy, hard work, efforts, everything into that. And if you think that no, nothing can be done good with this, just divest it. Divest means take your money away from that, kill it, move on to the next product, right? Doctors also do that. If a patient can be cured, they go with putting more efforts, putting more hard work. If the patient is just suffering and there is nothing they can do, there is no way to get him back, cure him, there is something called as mercy killing. They just kill the patient by giving him a pain, what do you call it, understand, basically, touch wood, nothing should happen to anybody like that. Understand the meaning here. What it means is that basically they just try to cut his oxygen supply, simple. Without him suffering, they let him pass away in peace. Okay, coming back. So last quadrant for our discussion, that is low market share in a low growing market. A market which doesn't have a growth potential, like it's already saturated, gone, it's outdated, let it, close it, and you don't even have any good market share in that particular market. So what are you even thinking about, right? These are called as dogs. So basically just shut up and walk away, right? This is completely divest. Okay, divest is like opposite of invest. So basically take your money as much as you invested, sell off the assets. If they are not utilized in any another project, it is only for that particular project. Sell those assets, liquefy as much as possible, and walk away with whatever is left, right? There is no point in putting any money, efforts, or hard work into this, because market is not there and you are also nobody in a market. So why do you want to worry? Go into another market which welcomes you. Go into another industry, start another product which actually works out for you, right? So these, my dear friends, are the four quadrants of BCG matrix, and what are the generic strategies that each BCG matrix offers you, right? In the next lecture, we'll see practical examples of two companies. One is Apple, and what are the various products of Apple which can be categorized into these four segments. And second example, we'll discuss about PepsiCo. Okay, PepsiCo company, what are the various products that PepsiCo has, and how to categorize them into these four quadrants, along with the additional topics relating to that. So before we wind up this lecture, I want to talk about one small point which students usually take it for granted. Okay, so when I talk about BCG matrix, students are more focused about how to calculate the relative market share, how to calculate the market growth rate, how do we determine that, the formula for growth rate calculation. Then they are more worried about these elements, the stars, question marks, problem child, dogs, and cash cows. Yes, this is what BCG matrix is all about. But as an advanced performance management student, as an APM student, you need to know one more aspect. You need to be a step ahead of the curve. Now, what is that step ahead of the curve? I'll tell you in a simple point here. The solution is, you should know what are the pros and cons of this BCG matrix. Knowing just what is BCG matrix and how to apply it to a given scenario will fetch you marks. Absolutely yes. But to get that competitive edge, to capture the additional marks, the professional presentation marks, or to be one step ahead of the curve, the additional information that you should know is what are the pros and cons of BCG matrix. I'll just talk about one or two points. Okay, the rest of the pros and cons we'll discuss at the end after doing practical analysis. So first, understand that BCG is trying to make it simple. It's a generic strategy. Just take the figures, market share, market growth, put it in the table. It will tell you the results. So it's very generic. It's very straightforward. There is no complications involved. It's very simple. But the problem is, it is only considering two elements. It is saying, see, for example, it is saying that star is something that is capturing in a good growth market. If I'm having good market share, it is a star, so put more money into that. Absolutely fine, I'll put more money into it. But BCG matrix doesn't tell me how do I effectively and efficiently invest my money in stars. The efficiency and effectiveness of my investment also need to be considered. Just putting money doesn't work out. So putting money in the right place at the right time and using it in a right manner will help you to get better results. Correct? So that is not something that is addressed by BCG. And at the same time, there are so many other factors which BCG matrix doesn't even consider. You know, for example, customer satisfaction, okay, employee health. Is it in line with our corporate mission or not? So there are so many aspects which BCG matrix doesn't even look into. It just says you that if it is a star, put money into that. If it is a dog, just close it. Right? So that's a generic strategy. It doesn't suit to every single case. You as a consultant or you as a professional, you as an experienced person, you have to take your professional judgment into consideration before you adopt to whatever BCG matrix has to say. Right? So with that information, let's wind up this lecture. In the next lecture, we'll see about how Apple and PepsiCo's BCG matrix will look like. Thank you guys.